Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Listen Grow podcast, the podcast where I break down what's happening in the world, what it means, and why it matters. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and today's episode, honestly, it's a lot. We're talking about escalating attacks on LGBTQ plus rights across the United States and globally, from legislation targeting trans people to battles over books and free speech to religion, sports, and even the United Nations stepping into the conversation. But it's not all heavy. We've also got moments of progress, visibility, and a few stories that remind us exactly why representation so matters. Our first story is political attacks and rhetoric escalate. We're starting in Texas, where political rhetoric is once again making headlines. A recent online rant targeted Texas State Representative James Tellerico, accusing him of being a fraud and spreading misinformation about his identity and beliefs. The comments also included language that critics say continues a pattern of targeting marginalized groups, particularly women of color, with derogatory stereotypes. Now, while politics attacks are nothing new, what's notable here is how quickly misinformation spreads and how often LGBTQ plus issues get pulled into these narratives as a way to divide. Next, we go to Tennessee, where a major speech shutdown happens. Luann James, the director of Rutherford County Library System, is refusing to comply with a directive to remove or relocate more than 190 LGBTQ plus themed books from youth sections. Her response, simply and powerfully, I will not comply. She argues the move is a viewpoint discrimination and a violation of the First Amendment. Meanwhile, the library board claims it's about protecting children from inappropriate material. Free speech advocates, including PEN America, are backing James, saying this is less about content and more about restricting access to LGBTQ plus stories. And here's the real tension. This isn't just about books, it's about who gets to decide what books are allowed to exist in public spaces. So good for you. I appreciate her standing up for the LGBTQ plus community. Next, we go to Idaho, where Idaho's bathroom ban sparks fear and pushback. Lawmakers are advancing legislation that could criminalize transgender people for using the bathroom that aligned with their identity. One testimony is getting national attention. A trans man, Nickerson Matthews, told lawmakers he looks like a man, has a beard, and uses the men's restroom. But under the law, he could face time simply because someone suspects he's trans. He described the daily reality as this creates, do I risk jail or do I risk being attacked? Even law enforcement groups are opposing the bill, saying it puts officers in an impossible position with clearly no way to enforce it. And here's the context. Trans people only make up 0.4% of Idaho's population, yet lawmakers have passed 17 laws targeting them in 5 years. It sounds to me Idaho does not have enough going on, and they're focusing on the wrong things. Sad. Next, the Mormon Church clarifies policy on trans members. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has updated its official handbook, and it's sending a clear message. Temple ordinance must now align with a person's biological sex at birth. If not, they're considered invalid and must be redone. The church says it's a clarification, not a change, and emphasizes that transgender individuals are still welcome at services. But critics, including former church leaders, say the policy disproportionately targets trans members and reinforces exclusion. Next, the UN rejects the U.S. proposal on gender definition. On the global stage, the United Nations delivered a major rebuke. A U.S. pact proposal to define gender strictly as male or female was overwhelmingly rejected. The only 2 countries supported it. 23 voted to block it entirely. International advocates call it a huge moment, signaling that most of the world is not willing to roll back broader understandings of gender identity. Meanwhile, in India, lawmakers have passed a new bill that changes how transgender identity is legally recognized. The law introduces a certification system requiring medical boards to determine identity rather than self-identification. Supporters say it creates a clarity and protections. Critics say it's regressive, calling it a direct attack on autonomy and constitutional rights. Now we go to trans golfer sues over new eligibility rules. In the world of sports, a legal battle is unfolding. Transgender golfer Haley Davidson is suing after being barred from competing under new rules that require athletes to be assigned female at birth or transition before puberty. She argues the policy effectively excludes transgender women from competition. The LPGA says the rules are about fairness. And once again, we're seeing the same debate played out: inclusion versus competitive equity. Next, LGBTQ plus progress, a new mayor in Munich. So let's shift to something a little more hopeful. Munich has elected Dominik Krause as mayor, making him one of the first visible openly gay leaders in German politics. At just 35 years old, his win represents something bigger than politics. It's about visibility, normalization, and the quiet progress that doesn't always make loud headlines, but changes everything. And he's quite cute too, I'll say. I seen a picture of him as I was researching the news. So congratulations to Dominik. Next, culture and representation. Bridgerton goes queer. Here's a pop culture moment. Netflix is teasing a future Bridgerton season that will center a same-sex romance between Frances Bridgerton and Michaela Sterling. And honestly, this matters because representation in mainstream media, especially in massive global hits, helps shift perception in ways politics just can't. So everybody loves a good queer, lesbian, trans, gay story. Next, a moment a 7-year-old LGBTQ ally inspires. And our last story is a story that just hits right in your heart. 7-year-old Anwin Watts, who has undergone multiple brain surgeries, recently received a surprise visit from drag performers in her hospital room. She sang, she smiled, she celebrated. And after everything she's done, and after everything she's been through, she's now being honored as Naples' Princess of Pride. Sometimes in the middle of all the chaos, and these moments that remind us that what community really looks like. I love it. I love it that the parents, one of the drag queens there, I love it that this girl that went through so much got so much joy out of having these drag queens visit her in the hospital. Amazing. That's how I'd like to end the news on a positive story. So what do we all take from all this? Across the world, LGBTQ plus rights are being debated, challenged, and in some cases rolled back. But at the same time, we're seeing resistance, visibility, and progress that refuses to be erased. The reality is both things are happening at once. And that's why staying informed matters. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow, share it with a friend, and keep the conversation going. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman, and this is Listen Up Girls. Stay loud, stay proud, and I'll see you tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news.